But what if a hurricane becomes so strong that you are not even safe in your own house? What if, in order to be safe, you are forced to evacuate before a major hurricane hits? According to the legislation, the mayor, the county judge, or the governor can issue a mandatory evacuation. Are you prepared?
But let me make something really, clear that, even though I call or a mayor calls for a mandatory evacuation, it's very, very hard to enforce. That would, even though we have legislative power to go house by house and literally arrest somebody if they do not heed the warning to evacuate, we don't have the resources to do that. Our law enforcement are going to be busy assisting in traffic control, assisting with the evacuation process. We're not going to have the time to go house by house. A mandatory evacuation is something that I have not yet ever called for. It's a very difficult decision to make because people do not want to leave their homes for fear of not being able to take care of their property. But at the same time, even if a mayor or the county judge did call for a mandatory evacuation, it's very difficult to enforce. All I can tell you is that the people that listen to this, and I said earlier, we all need to plan for an evacuation route should a mandatory evacuation or even a voluntary evacuation route is called for.
If you do not heed the warnings to evacuate, you can prepare to be stuck in your house for days, day in, day out, without water, food, electricity. You can expect disease waters to be crossing your path. You can expect to be stuck, basically, and put your family through something that can affect them forever and traumatize your family.
How are we going to know when to leave? Who will tell us and how? Cameron County Emergency Communications District has instituted a county-wide emergency notification system called Cameron County Reverse 911. The state-of-the-art system combines digital mapping and database technologies, which will be able to send telephone notifications to residents and businesses in specific geographical locations within Cameron County impacted by or in danger of being impacted by an emergency or disaster. Cameron County Reverse 911 will be used by emergency response personnel to notify those affected homes and businesses at risk with information on the event and or actions, such as evacuation officials are asking them to do.
We recently installed the Reverse 911 system, which that right as of today, it applies to landlines only. However, cell phones can be registered. What that means is that instead of what normally you would do in an emergency where you would dial 911 and get a hold of somebody, the Reverse 911 system works similar, except that we call you. If you have a listed phone number, then if there's an emergency of some sort, one of the ways that we can get that message out to you quickly is by the Reverse 911 system. You will get a phone call, and it'll be a pre-recorded message telling you that there may be an emergency in your area. I call for either a voluntary or a mandatory evacuation, and this goes to the areas that are most affected.
Reverse 911. Unlike 911 where you call in an emergency, Reverse 911 calls you. It notifies you of a hazard within your immediate area. This is automatically done for home telephones and business telephones. However, with cell phones, it requires that you take the initiative to call in and register your cell phone number so that you can get those appropriate alerts.
But how do you register your cell phone in case of not having a landline? Residents who live in Cameron County, which includes all cities and the unincorporated areas of the county, are encouraged to register their cell phones and their email addresses for emergency notifications. If you own a cell phone or some voice over IP, or would like to be notified through that device, or if you would like an email notification, you must self-register those telephone numbers and or email address with the Cameron County Reverse 911 system. To register your cell phone or email, log on to www.cameroncounty911.com.
We will provide any type of alerts of immediate dangers within your area, within your registered area. In the event of a hurricane or a tornado or widespread disaster, you will start getting alerts.
During the crisis, we set up our Emergency Operations Center. Our Emergency Operations Center is basically up before, during, and after the hurricane, and the flow of communication is outstanding. We have an open line of communication way before the storm even hits, and we maintain that line of communication throughout the storm.
In the event of a hurricane, what the district does is to ensure that the 911 system stays up and running so that those 9 answering points can provide 911 services to the public in Cameron County. And in the event that should something happen to the 911 system, is to ensure that it gets back up and running as soon as possible.